All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to EdTalks. This is going to be a little bit new spin. We've done 4 or 5 of these, and what we've heard from a lot of MSPs and VARs is they're looking to hear some opinion from industry leaders, how they can shape their business, how they can, do something different or really look at what's going on in the marketplace and for us to offer some opinion. So we thought the best way to kick this off would be our own Bill Quinlan, who's our Vice President of Carrier and now Vice President of Sales. He runs our sales as well. And I think it's important because Bill's been in this industry since, I met Bill in '94, and he's been in the business since before that, right, Bill?
1988.
1988, we believe he was with Cable and Wireless. So he is regarded in our industry as probably the best or the most educated in the connectivity space. So we're going to ask Bill about his opinion on connectivity, why VARs and MSPs should make this part of their priority, and then we're also going to ask Bill, because he manages over 50 relationships with underlying carriers for us, why VARs and MSPs should possibly consider making sure you're connected with them at the top. Again, our job here at EdTalks is to offer opinion, help shape your future. You may agree, you may not agree with our opinion, but we definitely want to have an opinion and do what we can do to help you control your business success. Okay, so let's start off with the first question. Bill, we have about, I don't want to say the number, but we have a lot of partners out there that drive business with us. Most of them are VARs or MSPs, and other than a few, most of them for some reason don't lead with connectivity. If the customers bring it up, they go there, but they don't use understanding where customers sit with their connectivity as a strategy as part of their core. If you were going to talk to a VAR MSP, how would you guide them different than what we see performing? I believe, by the way, on a nationwide basis, I see that. That's not regional. I believe on a nationwide basis, a lot of other people like ourselves are seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Ed. The biggest thing that I see with the VARs that we've come in contact with, the people that I know in the industry, they've built some incredible products and services out there, and their key focus is, of course, on getting those products to market and getting those out to their current clients as well as new clients. But the biggest problem that I see is the disconnect from how those clients are going to access those services, which is where the connectivity conversation really comes into play for them. They should really be looking at strategic partnerships with companies that can really put both sides of their business together. The product that they want to have out on the market, as well as the connectivity required for their clients to access it. Right now they're just really focused on their product, which I definitely understand.
Sure.
Just like most companies are focused on their key product, but if there's a reliance for your product to utilize something else to get it there, that's the biggest disconnect that I see today, is that nobody's kind of packaged this thing up in a nice present with a pretty bow on it, saying to the client, here's going to be your experience. Here's what it's going to take to get the solution in place, whether it's a virtual desktop, running on thinner fat client, whether it's Microsoft 365, any software as a service. Once you're going to move those services to a cloud-based platform, the connectivity to get there is most critical for the clients, because no matter what you have and how good the data center is where everything exists, you're only as good as the connection that you're riding.
Okay.
So those discussions tend to be brought on at the end of their presentations or even their sales, and then sometimes those things fall apart a little bit because the client was not expecting to have an uptick in costs from their carrier services, a change in product. They're in a contract with the existing carrier and they can't break it, but they need to move to something else to get what they really need. So it's really inherent upon the VARs to start to partner with companies who can actually put these things all together for their clients and really show the client the full picture of what it's going to look like.
Right. And in your experience, again, I met Bill in 1994. I sold phone systems. He came on to help us drive our carrier strategies. And then I really started to make sure on every opportunity, carrier and connectivity is part of the conversation. And I think you've seen of our couple partners that really lead with connectivity and make sure that's brought up in the first conversation. Aren't they the most successful anyway?
Yeah, they are, because with the number of relationships that we bring to the table with all the carriers we work with, we can really shop the market for the VAR and help look at, okay, who can now deliver exactly what I need. And a lot of times we can come in with some level of cost savings even that helps justify what they're trying to do with the client. And we can look at multiple providers which is key. A lot of people try to stick with, I'm only going to talk to a cable company, or I'm only going to talk to the local phone company.
Right.
They may not be able to fit the bill everywhere because they may not be in that building. We can look at multiples, tie it all together for them, and if all things work out right, then a lot of times we come in with a cost savings as well. It helps justify what they're trying to do.
Right. So here's what I think we hear at ETA when a VAR or MSP kind of avoids the connectivity conversation. I don't know how we help them overcome this, other than it's just part of the business we're in, is they'll have a bad experience, or maybe the carrier cut didn't happen on time, and they haven't done a good job of being strategic, of keeping themselves separate and understanding that that's not going to impact the success, that's not going to impact everything you discuss. So I think some of them run away for an experience issue versus looking at it as, okay, this really is strategic, let me overcome this.
Right. And I would even tie it back to, I'll go back to when we first met back in, before even 94, when I came to work at the company you were at. Prior to that, we worked together, Cable and Wireless and American Communication Systems worked together. You're one of the first PBX sellers that I ran into that really put it all together and realized I cannot have a conversation about a PBX without having a conversation about the carrier. A lot of people in those days ran away from the carrier conversations because things didn't always go right. The carrier world was at that time in its infant stage. We had divestiture. They broke up AT&T, and all these new companies coming into play, the MCIs, the Sprints, the Cable and Wirelesses. Nobody knew what that experience was going to look like for those people. But once you're able to really map it out and manage the projects and put them all together, is really where it came together for you, is when we were able to go in on every account and be able to show them, here's what we need to do with PBX, but in order to do that, we need to do this with the carrier and the connectivity. We were able to, meld those two things together very successfully.
And I can tell you, I remember the day it occurred, so I know the exact moment. All right, we're going to wrap it up, but we do have one more question for Bill, because one of the things he does great here at ETA is he manages our underlying providers. And I know we talk to VARs and MSP providers, whether it's Microsoft or a Codema or name the product, they all have relationships with underlying products that ultimately help them deliver their solutions. If you're going to real quick tell them why it's important that they're entrenched with those companies at the highest level, what have you learned over the years about being connected, not just having them as a product, but having them as a strategic partner?
Yeah, and we've had relationships with a lot of providers over the years. Some have come and gone. A lot of those, because the relationships fall apart. The ones that we've got the strongest relationships have endured, even at the highest level. So even at the CEO level for bigger companies, even down to just ownership of smaller providers. I've always really prided myself on having a high level relationship at the highest levels within those organizations. Some bigger organizations are just harder to get to, but they're worth working on. So if you're in my world and you're talking to the AT&Ts and the Sprints of the world, they're a little more difficult to get up to the CEO. I would say the same thing probably exists for Cisco and Microsoft, some of ours, but try to take your relationships to the highest level. You can really impact what goes on, how you get treated, how your customers get treated. And that's always been our key to success, is that we have an escalation list. Once that escalation list goes past the normal person on what you get handed by anybody, then it comes to me. And when I need to invoke it, I invoke it. And I work with all of our providers that way. And if I need to call the owner or the CEO of a carrier provider we work with, I'll do it. And most of the time the relationships are solid enough that I don't need to. I can take it to a different level. But knowing that I have it and that I can impact it, is a great value to me. And also get very involved with our providers today from the direction of their business. Some of our biggest partners have set up their dealer advisory counselors. I sit on multiples, so I can actually go to meetings with the highest level executives, with people, peers at my level, and be able to have these open discussions to, drive what they're doing. What's it look like? What does the product roadmap look like? What's it look like for our customers? What changes are coming? Mergers, acquisitions, anything that, we can find out about or impact always has a positive impact on us.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We'd like to keep EdTalks short and sweet. Thanks, Bill. And for VARs and MSPs, let's just recap it real quick. make sure if you don't know how to lead with connectivity, reach out to us. The number of the contacts is going to be on the screen. And if you don't have conversations or you're not engaged with your underlying partners at the highest level and you want to learn how to do it, also reach out to us. But that's our opinion for EdTalks on what VARs and MSPs can do immediately to change the landscape and improve their business. Take care.